あの男はあの男で、侍女たちの心を掴んでいるに違いない。
So this is what you were doing in the jungle, clever girl.
Yeah. He swung me on vines and fed me coconut milk.
I knew it. He's not a real meatloaf, is he?
No. I mean, he's not brainy in that doctor, lawyer, banker way, but he has something else. He has a...
Sensual intelligence. Sensual intelligence. Wow. Oh my god.
Hi there everyone, Scott and Lars back with another review and analysis of the Apothecary Diaries, brought to you by Camille's Harem. Not just a podcast for novice writers by novice writers, but also a YouTube channel by novice writers for novice writers. Because writing is an adventure, it's more fun with friends, and if you think that you're about to get kidnapped, have loads of catnip on your person. It might come in handy.
It more than you realize.
Yeah, this episode was a pretty interesting one. I was not expecting it to slow down like it did. I thought it was going to really pick up the pace, but as you and I have discussed before we began recording, there is a good reason, a lot of good reasons actually behind that, and we want to get into all of that. But before we do, again, a reminder, we are handing out frogs illustrated by our very own Camille of Camille's Harem to honor yes, the frog scene with Gingy. If you would like to get your very own unique frog made by Camille, then please find all of the frogs in this video. Be the first person to comment with the correct number of frogs, and you will have won your very own frog. And so, with that being said, shall we jump into the events of this episode before we provide the much-needed analysis?
Yes, let's break down the episode.
In this episode, we pick up with Gingy trying to find Maomao, and he's over at Lake Yokio, speaking to her, trying to figure out what the hell's going on. Where did Maomao go? Who saw her last? What was she doing? And they actually seem to know pretty well the events of the previous episode, sans the kidnapping. And Gingy goes to talk with the quack doctor and with Loman to figure out if they happen to know anything. And in the process, he finds out just a little bit more from the quack doctor about the catnip, which gets Loman thinking. And Loman's like, "I will now go looking for Maomao." And he's like, "Oh, you're gonna find your daughter? No, the cats." And so they go looking for Maomao, the cat, and they find her absolutely drunk on on catnip. And I just got to throw this on out there. I love that Gaoshin is calling for the cat, and it just shows that he is indeed a cat man, and he's easily encroaching on Seuss for the world's most perfect man at this point.
Yep.
Grandma was right all along. I am the world's most perfect man.
While the investigation is underway, we do hop on over to Maomao, who's in the bowels of a boat. Yes, I know there's a better way of saying that, but I want to say bowels of a boat. With Shisui, and they are being watched over by Suide, who continues to have her little poison needles ready to go. And Maomao is being very demure, not wanting to get her or Shisui injured at all. And she knows that she's been jumping around from boat to boat. She's not exactly sure which direction they're going. She figures that they're probably on a river, which ends up being a very good guess when they disembark. And now they are in a forest where it's way more humid than what she's used to. So she has no idea actually anymore where she's gone to. And she decides to play not necessarily a prank on Suide, but basically information gathering. When she realizes that the other woman is a little bit frightened about what might be in the forest. When she sees a snake, she grabs a snake, throws at her, and it completely incapacitates Suide. But in the process of doing that, it actually reveals probably more than what Maomao really thought or what she hoped. And that is that Shisui is very much in line with this woman because she and Suide are sisters. And they have been in on this. They take Maomao to their village, which is a highly fortified, very interesting village where people seem to be not necessarily standoffish, but very businesslike. Again, when you look at how it's been fortified, it's very clear that this is a village that expects there to be some kind of action, maybe a bit of a throwdown with enemies, possibly the emperor and his kingdom, very likely. But then we're introduced to a young boy that Maomao feels is really kind of bratty, and he comes across that way. But we get a sweet little interaction that makes you realize that no, he's not just a young jerk. Like all the characters in the Apothecary Diaries, there are layers, even to this kid. And there's a festival upcoming that everyone is getting ready for, which includes fox masks and fruits or veggies, whatever this is.
They're lantern plants.
Little lantern plants. Okay, so we got lantern plants that are coming into play. Is Halloween, anyone? This falls into my overall theory of the universality of Halloween. In any case, more importantly than that, though only just by a little, is the fact that we get to see one of the special envoys there in the Fox Village. And so all different kinds of things seem to kind of be coming together in this little village that no one up until this point knew even existed. We hop back on over to the rear palace, and Jinji and Gaoshin have completed their investigation and discovered that that there was indeed a shrine that Suide used, and we also find out that Shisui used to infiltrate and get out of the rear palace. This is an old shrine that was just a part of the old infrastructure from whatever kingdom came beforehand, utilizing waterways that were previously undiscovered, and so people could kind of come and go. It's a great thing that they were able to find Maomao's little note telling them about some of the stuff that was going on, but ultimately they have to do their own investigation, which led to the shrine, which also led to them realizing that one of the eunuchs has gone missing. And if they probe a little bit further, it'll be the eunuch that all the women just absolutely adore. And then on top of that, Shisui was never registered as one of the maids. She has been living under literally everyone's noses this entire time, and everyone just accepted as a fact that she was employed by the rear palace. Bam, bam, bam. This means that there is a huge breach of security in the rear palace. This place is not the guarded garden of flowers that the emperor intended it to be. And on top of that, it might just be time for Gyokyo to give birth. It's kind of what the very last seconds of the episode seem to imply. So as far as Jinji's life is going, the girl that he loves has been kidnapped. The rear palace is exposed to all different kinds of enemies, and the emperor's preferred concubine is going into labor, and they have Loman there on scene to try to help out this because, on Maomao's suggestion, this could be a breech birth, and if so, it could lead not only to the baby's death, but even to Lady Gyokyo. So there is so much that Jinji finds himself now having to juggle, while Maomao is at a complete loss for what the hay is going on, while she's in a village that she doesn't even know where, surrounded by enemies of the Empire. Woo! What an episode.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of information that we're given in this episode, but it feels like it's slowed down compared to some of the previous episodes. Like last episode, we got a bit of a shock with like finding out that Suide was here and like getting kidnapped and all that. But this episode, like we spend like half of it just trying to figure out like to have Jinchi and Nomen, like the people still at the rear palace, to find out that Maomao's disappeared and something weird's going on. And the rest of it's just showing Maomao traveling, like, and finally getting to the destination, but like we don't have all that much understanding of what's going on there yet. But like some of those reveals that we get, especially on Maomao's side, like they're telling, like, and it connects to previous stuff that's happened in the story. Connect back to come back to like what happened with the special envoys. We're connecting back to why Suide was there in the Rare Palace. We're connecting back to how Maomao the cat got into the Rare Palace in the first place. Like, there's all of these little like facts and things that are building up, and it's building a greater whole that's gonna really pay off later.
And I just have to say, I really do like how some offhanded comments about underground waterways, how shrines and stuff have been repurposed in the palace, all come back into some pretty stark relevancy in this episode. And it's not like, voila, you didn't see it coming. And it's not a massive twist either. Rather, it's just really nice payoff on little tidbits of world building. A good comparison actually would be actually to the first Harry Potter book, where in the Sorcerer's Stone, there are just these little details here and there that end up having massive payoff by the end of the book in regards to the Philosopher's Stone, and even way later on in the series, we're like, oh, wow, I was not expecting the cloak to be that important. I was not expecting the snitch to be that important. I was not expecting Dumbledore's one saying right there to be so important. Holy cow. Like, it's just that's good world building.
Right. And it's something Apothecary Diaries does really well, is taking the time to, one, do proper world building and tie it into like the characters, but also make us care enough about these characters that when they're impacted, when we find out stuff about some of these different characters, like, it really gets to us. And like, it's something I've really enjoyed about this series, and I just can't wait for y'all to find out some of the stuff that's coming down the way, because oh man, it messed me up, and I'm so excited to talk about it. Can't talk about it this episode, but maybe next episode. We'll see.
Ah, man, the burden of knowing too much. Another aspect of this episode that I really enjoyed was getting to see the comparison and contrast between how Loman and Maomao conduct their investigations.
Yeah,
because like, as we've seen with Maomao can be like pretty headstrong, but also beat around the bush sometimes, more so than she needs to. In certain cases, she's a very, very smart girl, but there's also just times where she will make some silly mistakes, and when we get to see Loman, like, Loman is the one who's obviously taught her how to think and how to process all this information, how to be a good investigator, and we get to see all of his experience put to the test and put to work. When his daughter goes missing, he can be like Shinji and the others, running around like chickens with their heads cut off, missing information that he knows he doesn't have. But when he realizes that Maomao took Catnip, he's like, you know what? Let's go find the cat. We're gonna find that Maomao, and I really like that comparison, and it just goes to show that Loman really is like the real deal, because no one would think to go looking for the cat.
Oh, and the whole Catnip scene was like interesting, because like, yeah, it's like attracting the cats, and like a lot of people know that Catnip's really popular with cats. In fact, I think it's its main use anymore. But like, Catnip has been used as like an apothecary ingredient, as like a medicinal ingredient for quite a while now. Like, they use it in a lot of herbal teas to help with like relaxing and sleeping. It helps with like nervousness and like coughs and diarrhea kind of stuff. So like, it's been around. It actually helps you in some ways. I mean, it's medicine. You have to be careful with it, but like, I love how in Apothecary Diaries, it still makes you feel like we have that connection to the actual like apothecary side of things. So
Yeah, getting those little tidbits is really neat. Or it's not. It's like we don't even actually go that deep into it, but it's like
yeah,
it's a story that invites you to look into it more.
yeah, exactly. So it's really fun to see that. But yeah, the whole like sleuthing scene is very very nice because like you're able to like Jinchi's able to see like where Maomao gets her style from. Like even though she's not perfect at it, like a lot of her quirks were like given to her because of how much time she spent with Lil Men and learning from him. But then going on from there though, like we get the whole journey with Maomao and like Shisui and Suide in the ship, and like we end up getting a very complex, like Shisui's very complex that we were able to see because like in the ship she's like comforting Maomao and like they're resting against each other and you're like, oh well, Shisui's just like this poor babes that's been like tossed into this horrible situation. The same with Maomao. But then we get the whole scene with the snake, and we find out no, Shisui's got more control over this than even Suide does. And we're like, that's interesting. That's telling. Like, what's really going on here? Because like we already find out by the end of the episode specifically that like there was nobody in the Rear Palace with that name, and like Shisui's not who she says she is. And it's like interesting to see that because we're seeing this like really kind, soft-hearted character at one point, and then we're finding out like there's some weird stuff going on with this character, and it just like raises a whole lot of questions.
Yeah, because we've been in the mindset for a while of seeing Suide as like the real Moriarty to Maomao's Sherlock. But what if it's been someone else this entire time? And that's kind of difficult to reconcile in a way because Shisui has been such a fun character,
right?
And yeah, like there's things where like you have to just question. You're like, what's really going on with this girl? But everything that we've seen from her has been so positive that now that this reveal is made, you're like, what the heck is actually going on here? And especially in connection with Shen Lu, who's like, there's no one waiting for me. And it's like, what's going on? Because you three, in light of who Shisui actually is, it is kind of recontextualizes everything. Like you three have been as thick as thieves, but what if it's even more complicated? And so like that's something actually very invigorating about the story is that it's teasing you with answers. It presented to you what you thought would be an answer and then it ripped that away and it's all like, no. Again, all the characters in the Apothecary Diaries are full of layers, like an ogre.
Yep. Oh man, like it's part of why I love the story so much. Like then we get to like the like Hot Springs Village and like see the special envoy and like her guard, and then we meet Kyo, which seems to be this like snot-nosed brat of a kid. In fact, in the light novel, there's almost the entire time like Kyo's there, Maomao's calling him a little shit. But like he's a snot-nosed brat with a heart of gold. And like it's precious. It's like I love how we're given the time to get to know these characters in like some small way. Like that scene where like he's passing off is like, oh, I found all these lantern plants, and Shisu's like, did you really though? Did you think who really found him? And he's like, 1 second, and like goes and kind of very bashfully thanks the one lady for helping him with it. And like it's this really heartwarming moment, like really kind of feel for like this kid.
Yeah, and it makes him really endearing, and it makes what's very likely to happen all the more tragic. Because if these people are indeed enemies of the Emperor, which it's pretty heavily hinted that they are, once the Emperor knows where they're at, they're done for. Once Lacan knows that his daughter's gone missing, he's raining fire and brimstone down on whoever's abducted Maomao. So these people are very much in danger, and I love this approach to already making them likable, as opposed to so many shonen stories where it's just like, we beat each other up like boys, like men, and then we realize, I respect you. Which, I mean, I've been in that situation. It's applicable, it's real, but it doesn't endear you to these characters, to these enemies in the moment. In this case, if you're left feeling conflicted, that's exactly what the writer wants you to feel like. That's absolutely fine, because the writer's like, these are people. Treat them like actual people. They're also enemies. So yeah. Like bad things might happen, and then your heart's going to get ripped out.
Oh man, like just you wait and see. There's some great stuff coming down the road. I so wish I could just sit here and rant like about what's going to happen, but like no, I want to let you guys find out stuff for yourself. I really feel like, and I've been saying this for several of these reviews, I feel like there's going to be a huge ball drop next episode, because like we're going to find out some interesting things.
I mean, we've already been discovering so many interesting things. What could still be thrown at us that's so interesting?
See, but like, what episode is this? It's episode 41. We still have 7 episodes in this season, and we're just building more and more to probably like one of the best like season finales I've seen in a long while. Like there's some really cool stuff coming down the way.
I'm so excited.
Yeah, just think about this episode, and like think about all the things that were revealed this episode, because like that's kind of how Apothecary Diaries has been doing stuff. It's like revealing thing after thing after thing, and like pointing out the importance of different characters, different items, different like situations, and then it pulls it back in the most unexpected ways later. So like pay attention to that stuff. Like in this episode, we got like the envoys. It's like Maomao's wearing her hair sticky thing. I would pay attention to that. If you have the time for it, go back and listen to stuff Suide says, because it will apply later. There's just a lot of like, from reading the light novel, there's a lot of foreshadowing. There's a lot of build up and setup going on right now that will be important later.
Yeah, that's just that's so exciting, and this is coming back to like the whole like comparison with Harry Potter. Like again, this is just good world building. This is good character development. I think that we sometimes put too much emphasis onto the ideas of stuff like foreshadowing and twists, because you get caught off guard, and the thing is, like, there's getting caught off guard because you're like, whoa, I did not see that coming. I did not see that happening. Then there's getting caught off guard because you're so involved in the story that when it comes at you, because you're just so engaged with the characters, you're seeing everything through their eyes, and you forget to a certain extent that you are a member of the audience, observing all this. And Apothecary Diaries throws both at you. It throws real twists and foreshadowing at you. There's plenty of it. And then there's just lots of just excellent world building and character development, which, again, it can be very easily just misconstrued together. But it's important to say, like, no, what we're seeing in this episode, a lot of it is just the payoff of all the excellent work put in over the course of two and a half seasons. Whereas with last episode, with Suede revealing herself, that was definitely a twist. It's like, whoa, okay, so that's really who you are. Woo! But then it makes sense because the building blocks for it have been there, which is another good thing to do if you're going to do a twist. It needs to make sense.
It needs to make sense. Yep.
Yeah, and the Apothecary Diaries definitely pulls its weight, does its work to make sure that any twist or reveal makes sense, because you look back and you're like, oh, I actually did have all of the evidence to pull it together. Okay, I got it now.
Yeah, and I can say there's enough evidence to connect some major things going on. If you look back on stuff, I'm not going to reveal what it is, but there is evidence in place.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, I'm so excited. I'm so excited. I mean, I need to start reading the fifth light novel and figure out what's going on there, because it's starting a whole new thing. But this is, I'm excited to see everyone's reactions to that, to like what's about to happen, because there's some true like Moriarty level shenanigans that's about to happen.
Oh, yes. Give me more of the Moriarty shenaniganery. I would love to do a video once we come to the end of this season, doing the whole like looking at the Apothecary Diaries from the perspective of Sherlock Holmes, because that I think would be so much fun to do.
I think that would be really fun too. Yeah, that would be a blast.
So with all of that being said, we hope that you've enjoyed this latest episode of the Apothecary Diaries. We want to hear your thoughts about it in the comments. And again, remember, keep an eye out for all of those frogs. First person to comment with the correct number of frogs will win themselves a frog. And if you'd like to support the work that we do here at Camille's Harem, then please share this video, subscribe if you haven't already done so. But even more so, if you really want to support us, you can buy the books that we've published. The links for all of them are in the description below. And thank you so much for joining us on this incredible adventure we call writing. And until the next video, y'all, if a stray cat ends up in your house, which is usually a good thing, double check to make sure that there isn't a secret passageway somewhere under your floor. Just good advice after seeing this episode. And until then, tschüss.
Ogini.